What if the reality you saw on screen was just the tip of the iceberg? Behind the glittering facade of Hollywood's reality TV lies a web of secrets, betrayals, and unexpected transformations. From trusted confidants caught in acts of deception, to beloved personalities making controversial career shifts, the stories you thought you knew are about to be turned upside down. Dive deep into the untold tales that reveal the fragile line between fame and infamy, and discover the hidden truths that have remained buried until now. It all started with a spark. In 1998, Richard Dominic, a TV producer captivated by a local Detroit commercial, spotted Les Gold, a sharp-tongued, fast-moving pawnbroker with undeniable screen presence. That 30-second spot stuck with him. More than a decade later, that spark became a firestorm when True TV greenlit Hardcore Pawn, premiering in 2010 to a jaw-dropping 2 million viewers. But behind the cameras, tensions ran high. Les's daughter Ashley was hesitant from the beginning, uncomfortable with their chaotic business being broadcast to millions. Her instincts weren't wrong. She would later walk away from the family business entirely, a move that spoke volumes. At its core, American Jewelry and Loan was never built for TV. It was built for Detroit. Opening its doors in 1978 and later expanding to a 50,000-square-foot showroom on 8 Mile Road, it saw over 1,000 customers walk in daily, each with a different story, a different struggle. That realness became the show's appeal. It wasn't about rare collectibles. It was about raw humanity. Screaming matches, desperate haggles, security interventions, it all aired unfiltered. That authenticity pushed the show to become the highest-rated debut in True TV's history, and even eclipsed 3.4 million viewers by Season 6's finale. But the higher you climb, the harder the fall. By Season 9, cracks began to show. Ratings dipped. Viewers whispered about staged scenes. Critics questioned the show's integrity. And then came the departure of Rich Pyle, the shop's beloved long-haired expert. He moved to National Geographic's Meltdown, and suddenly the magic started unraveling. Behind the scenes, True TV was changing course. Chris Lynn, the network's new president, wanted less conflict and more comedy. Impractical Jokers became the channel's new golden child, and Hardcore Pawn was left to fade. But Les Gold wasn't one to fade quietly. As the TV lights dimmed, he dove deeper into business. While most companies were shrinking after the pandemic, Les expanded. In 2021, he launched 3 new locations in Southgate, Lincoln Park, and Hazel Park. These weren't rash moves. The groundwork had been laid years earlier. Commercial real estate had hit rock bottom, and Les moved fast. Unlike others who sent in negotiators, Les showed up himself. With his son Seth by his side, they used their television fame as leverage, securing prime leases and creating nearly 200 jobs across Wayne County. It was a power move that showed Les wasn't just a pawnbroker, he was a strategist. Luxury, however, has always danced quietly in the background of Les's life. Though he never flaunted it on screen, insiders say Les has built a subtle but impressive portfolio. Known to favor high-end timepieces, including Rolex and Breitling, he's been spotted arriving in a sleek Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a nod to both comfort and class. Real estate-wise, his investments have expanded far beyond 8 Mile. Rumors point to private holdings in upscale Michigan suburbs, though he keeps details close to the chest. As for air travel, while Les doesn't own a private jet, he's a regular on chartered executive flights, especially during cross-country speaking engagements and appearances. The financial lessons here are stark. Les Gold diversified when most stood still. He capitalized on timing, negotiated with boldness, and built brand equity even as the cameras faded. He's also known to carry multiple insurance policies, both personal and business, safeguarding his assets, his health, and his legacy. It's this calculated caution, combined with aggressive business instincts, that's allowed him to weather economic storms. But Les is more than just money and media. In late 2016, he surprised everyone by competing on the Food Network's Chopped. That's right, Detroit's king of pawn stepped into a chef's apron. The man who once closed deals under pressure now diced onions on a timer. He didn't win, but he did win hearts. Cooking, it turns out, had always been personal, learned in childhood while his parents worked late. His Mediterranean recipes, handed down from his grandfather, were filled with nostalgia and family pride. Even in philanthropy, Les hasn't slowed down. In December 2022, he hosted a charity auction at the original Detroit store. The event, dubbed Hardcore Thaw, raised $40,000 in just 3 hours, benefiting the Heat and Warmth Fund. The climax? A Red Wings jersey sold for $7,800. Les didn't just run the event, he controlled it. As bids climbed, he added a surprise $5,000 of his own to reach the final total. No speeches, no spotlight, just action. It was classic Les, silent but powerful, strategic but generous. Yet, as the Gold family continues to evolve, not all stories have had a happy ending. Their private rifts, once hidden behind counters and cameras, have begun to surface. Ashley's quiet exit spoke louder than any argument, while other cast members pursued unexpected paths, one of whom is reportedly earning nearly $1 million annually from digital content far removed from pawnshops and television studios. What many people didn't see coming, though, was how his son, Seth Gold, would take the torch and ignite a transformation no one expected. When Seth joined the family pawn shop in 2009, he wasn't looking to just carry on a tradition. He wanted to revolutionize it. He saw what others didn't, a business stuck in a pre-digital world. While Les had mastered the art of face-to-face deals, Seth was already dreaming of clicks and scrolls. So he took a risk that most pawnbrokers wouldn't dare. He launched an online platform. At the time, it was almost unheard of. But Seth saw the future and ran toward it. Within a few years, that leap of faith started paying off. By 2018, digital sales were contributing a solid 30% to their total revenue. Their reach exploded. While the physical store still closed at night, the online side never stopped. That momentum led to new locations in Hazel Park and Pontiac, and annual growth surged by 20%. For a Detroit-based pawn business, pulling in $5 to $10 million a year wasn't just impressive. It was game-changing. Seth had officially stepped out of his father's shadow, but the spotlight didn't just find him. He earned it. Then, in a moment that stunned the industry, Seth Gold beat his own father to win the title of National Pawnbroker of the Year in 2013. That wasn't just an award. It was recognition of a generational shift. Seth had done more than expand a business. He'd reshaped how the world viewed pawn shops, from shady storefronts to modern financial lifelines. But behind all that success was a deeper mission. In 2014, Seth partnered with Stefan Kogler to launch Power to the Grid, a program focused on hiring people with autism. The idea? Find untapped talent and put it to work. One of their first hires, Michael Sancho, was a skilled photographer and graphic designer with a degree but no stable job. Seth saw potential where others didn't, and Michael helped transform their online listings. This wasn't charity. This was smart business with heart. Seth proved that inclusive hiring could fuel innovation, not just feel-good headlines. As their momentum built, Seth turned his focus to luxury. In late 2018, he began planning a second Detroit location dedicated to high-end watches and jewelry. Unlike their original 8 Mile store, which mostly served customers without access to traditional banking, this new shop aimed at affluent buyers. It was a pivot that showed just how far Seth was willing to evolve. Silver and diamonds had overtaken gold in demand, and he wasn't about to miss the wave. This wasn't just about profit, it was about precision timing. Just like the Rolexes and Omegas he was now selling. By 2019, he launched FastPawn with PawnMate Inc., a slick digital service that allowed customers to renew loans or make payments online. It was seamless, efficient, and exactly what the industry needed. His vision? A pawnshop experience that worked for both the old-school customer and the digital native generation. While Seth was forging a bold new path, Ashley Gold, his sister, was fighting a different battle. One that started behind the scenes of hardcore pawn. On TV, Ashley seemed fierce and confident, but behind the cameras, she was crumbling. The show, which ran from 2010 to 2015, made her a household name, but it also trapped her in a routine that felt like a loop. Wake up, black sweater, jeans, do the dance, argue on camera, repeat. In a raw 2016 interview, she called it her Groundhog Day moment. Her health was deteriorating, her family was strained, and the tension between her and Les, always simmering, had boiled over. Seth had his modern vision. Les clung to tradition. And Ashley? She was caught in the crossfire, every disagreement broadcast for entertainment. By early 2015, she'd had enough. Leaving the family business was one of the hardest choices she'd ever made, but she wasn't about to be just Les Gold's daughter. She wanted something of her own, so she created it. That same year, Ashley launched Han Chick Shopping, an online jewelry store that reflected her eye for style. She crisscrossed the country sourcing pieces, building a collection that ranged from $15 costume sets to $3,000 statement items. Customers didn't just buy from her, they trusted her. Celebrities wore her pics, and by 2019, she had rebranded as ashleygold.com and won the Verge Pitch competition, cementing herself as more than just a TV personality. She became a brand. In 2020, the chaos shifted from scripted drama to real life. When schools shut down, Ashley wasn't taping long episodes anymore. She was home, juggling business and parenting. Her kids, once 8 and 10 back in 2017, were now teens, navigating online classes, while Ashley stepped into the unglamorous yet deeply grounding role of teacher, carpool driver, and full-time mom. Gone were the 70-hour weeks. In their place, quiet car rides, math homework, and a daily routine that reminded her of what really mattered. This was no staged scene. This was real life, unfiltered. But if Ashley found peace, Rich Pyle was walking through a storm. He had become the face fans recognized instantly. Spiked hair, signature goatee, and a sharp tongue. He gave 25 years to American Jewelry and Loan, but in 2012, his loyalty wasn't enough to save him. An audit exposed a financial mess, personal charges on company credit cards, inflated reimbursements. It all exploded on camera. When Les Gold confronted him, Rich didn't back down. He shot back saying he cared more about the shop than Les's own kids. That line didn't just sting. It ended a 25-year friendship in under 5 minutes. One of reality TV's most intense blow-ups wasn't acting. It was heartbreak, captured for millions to watch. Desperate to fix things, Rich returned the next morning, shaken and hoping for a second chance. Seth tried to mediate, pleading with Les to remember Rich's value to the business. But the damage was done. Les refused. In just 20 minutes, Rich was gone. Off the show, out of the business, and on his own. It was a brutal chapter in his life, but it wasn't the end. In a twist few saw coming, Rich resurfaced in 2018, not at a pawn counter, but on a cornhole field. He became the energetic host of Whole Nation, a quirky show about the American Cornhole organization. His wife Tracy filmed much of it, giving it that old-school family-run vibe fans missed. The pawn shop charm was still there, just aimed at beanbags instead of gold chains. Rich had reinvented himself, proving that even after public fallout, you can still flip the script. Eventually, Rich opened up about the reality behind hardcore pawn, not in anger, but in honesty. Without breaking contracts, he hinted that the shouting matches, the angry customers, the rare finds, they were often orchestrated. He admitted real deals happened, but as the seasons wore on, many of the show's biggest moments were carefully planned or straight-up scripted. He even claimed producers deliberately understaffed the shop to trigger frustration. And those flashy items that appeared out of nowhere? Producers allegedly found them online and staged the scenes. The show wasn't fake, but it wasn't real either. Then there was Bobby Januck, the guy who just wanted a job but stumbled into national fame. Hired to fold t-shirts, Bobby was on camera from day one. The more he showed up, the more producers pushed him forward, especially after Rich left. Bobby didn't mind. He had the energy, the humor, and the presence. But as the show ended in 2015 and he walked away in 2016, Bobby began speaking out. Not with bitterness, but with truth. He explained how hardcore pawn valued conflict over character. He wasn't just working retail. He was playing a role, one he couldn't escape, even off the clock. Payment was minimal, and while the Gold family earned big, supporting cast members like him walked away with far less. When contracts were discussed, producers used phrases like once-in-a-lifetime opportunity instead of offering real raises. One of Bobby's viral TikToks even touched on Rich's departure, implying that what fans saw on TV was only half the story. In 2023, Bobby found himself at the center of a storm, but this time, it was one he had control over. After years of bouncing from job to job, including a lucrative partnership with Bar's products, Bobby's life took another unexpected turn. Known for his magnetic on-camera presence and unshakable charisma, Bobby had become the face of the automotive brand, starring in over 30 commercials and attending trade shows. The deal, worth a staggering $175,000 a year, was more than double his earnings from his days at the pawn shop. This was the break he'd been waiting for, and it brought with it newfound stability. But the winds of change would soon blow again. By 2021, after taking up voiceover work, Bobby shocked many by launching an OnlyFans account, a platform known for explicit content. To his critics, it seemed like a betrayal, especially to those who had followed him from his days on hardcore pawn. Social media backlash came swiftly, with fans expressing their disapproval on Facebook and Reddit. But Bobby stood firm, explaining in a podcast interview that voiceover work was inconsistent and didn't cover the bills. OnlyFans, however, offered both financial stability and control over his career, something he felt he had lost in the past. It was a business decision, and though controversial, it was one he didn't regret. Meanwhile, over at American Jewelry and Loan, a shocking betrayal hit the show in the form of Joel "Big Joe" Shannon, the head of security. A trusted member of the Gold family for 3 years, Big Joe was arrested on camera after stealing small amounts of scrap gold over several weeks. The theft amounted to around $7,000, but the betrayal stung even more because Les Gold had personally trusted him. The arrest was captured during filming, and Les's disbelief was clear in his voice. The public fallout was swift. Big Joe was fired, charged with felony theft, and his career was essentially destroyed. But like so many others who had faced their own downfalls, Big Joe wasn't done yet. In 2016, he launched High Gear Transportation, a small delivery business with just 2 trucks. Over time, Big Joe turned it into a regional powerhouse with 15 trucks by 2023. Their stories are a testament to the resilience it takes to navigate the highs and lows of fame, the dangers of being caught in a web of drama, and the relentless pursuit of personal reinvention. In the end, whether they find redemption or face more struggles, One thing is certain: they remain figures whose journeys continue to captivate the public's imagination. And that wraps up our deep dive into the hidden realities behind hardcore porn. If you found these revelations as intriguing as we did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes insights. Got a favorite moment or a theory? Drop it in the comments below. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we uncover more secrets from the world of reality TV. Remember, in the world of porn, not everything is as it seems. Sometimes, the real drama happens off camera.